But I told Akar, I said, go get me a knife, but I want that to be real big, right? That's called a bone crusher. I said, go get me a big motherfucker.
As far as the time that you're about to serve, you're looking at it. Did anyone prep you as far as how to do your time? I know a lot of people maybe had uncles, your pops or whoever. Some people that might have did time before you, maybe state, maybe feds. Did anybody prep you for what you're about to face during this time?
I'm gonna answer your question first, and I had done state time before.
Oh,
yeah, I went to state prison too. Went to the boys' home. Went to the state prison. I've been doing time all my fucking life, and which I'm embarrassed about. You know what I mean? And I ain't gonna say I'm embarrassed about. I'm not gonna say I'm ashamed. I'm just gonna say regretfully. Okay, I had spent a lot of time in jail. So, but nobody can prep you for doing 30 years. The best game I got during my bid, I was in Beaumont. Just when Beaumont was rocking and rolling, somebody getting stabbed in that bitch literally every week. Literally. This old dude told me, we was in the laundry room, I want to say, and he's like, I like your style, so I see, these guys kind of, they look up to you, they respect you. I'm like, yeah. He said, you gonna be gone in a minute now. You ain't gonna do that whole 30 though. He said, but you gonna have to nibble on it. And I just put that in the song that I just released last week called Court Date.
Oh.
It's on my.
So he said, you ain't gonna be able to swallow it.
Yeah, he said, you ain't gonna, he told me flat out, he like, you gonna do it, you gonna give him about a decade. He said, but you ain't gonna do that 30. He said, you gonna have to nibble on it.
What did he see? What was he getting at saying that you want to do it all? He was Lord willing? Or?
You know how everybody has this, when you doing time, especially if you're doing time and you know that they railroaded you.
Yeah.
You had this idea in your head of going back to court and it's over. You found a loophole or whatever. That's why we continuously fight. We continuously put those appeals in. And we think, boom, Vamoose is going to do, they can probably give me time served or drop me down to this. But he was telling me, young nigga, that ain't happening. He said, you're going to have to walk some of this down. He said, but you going to get it back. So I ended up getting back 10 years.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I get back and end up giving away 17.
17.
So,
For you to do this time, how do you mentally do it? Are you expecting, I'm going to get out soon? Is that what you're, day to day, month to month, year to year, that, hey, I'm coming home, I'm not going to do this whole 30. Did you accept prison as your life? Like, in my mind, I'm going to just be here. I'm not going to worry about the outside world. How did you do your time overall?
I did my time. I'm not going to lie. I did my time the way I fucking wanted to. Okay? I had the best of the best everywhere I went, every compound, because that's just who I am. I'm a hustler. I'm going to get to it. I'm going to find where it's at, and I want some.
Yeah.
Anybody, see, here's the thing about telling these prison stories, why y'all sometimes, no offense to you, y'all go get the weenie in here to come tell a prison story, and then he'll tell all these people about how he was in prison. But that's his perception. Because you got a whole lot of dudes sitting in prison saying that nigga was a cold sucker. And then so if you take a poll from them, then the dude sitting in this chair really was a weenie. But I'm telling you now, everything I'm telling you about me in prison, check with them and they're gonna tell you the same thing.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? I wasn't no better than the next one, but I wasn't ducking nothing, period. Whatever's mine, I'm taking my lick, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna get to the money everywhere I went. So I did my time the way I wanted to. But I never accepted the 30. I went to the prison law library. I stayed on my knees praying. I give all glory to God. But if a nigga wanted some trouble, then I'll meet him there.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, well, as we get into these stories, let me ask you, first and foremost, what are your thoughts on prison in general, just as an institution?
If you sit up and you watch one of those, I guess that would be some agriculture show where you see the cows the animals going through this, and then they get the brand, and then they put them through this, and then they play with their nuts, and then they put them through this, and then they do it's an assembly line for human beings.
Yeah.
That motherfucker moves like a well-oiled machine. If you ever been through transit, I went through transit 23 times, and I know all the fair niggas like, oh my God. Nigga with 20, between Atlanta and Oklahoma, 23 times.
Yeah.
Okay? So that it moved like it's so fucked up.
Yeah. What was if you can remember, as far as prison, once they got you, you about to set this time, do you remember your first day, your first week as far as
in prison?
In prison. What was the name of the first unit you went to outside
Beaumont.
of Beaumont? Yeah. Do you remember your first day? What was your first day?
Hell yeah, I remember my first day. So when I first pull up, you walking, because you walk, they let you out of intake or whatever, and you tell you where you're going. Yeah. So as you walk in, it's motherfucking desire, I guess, during the move or whatever. So you see different people know you up there. So as soon as I'm coming down the bowling alley, the little walkway, whole gang of niggas on their way toward me. I don't know what time it is. And I see one of my old cellies from ODC, which was my partner Slim, Lubbock Slim. I see him, and then I see my street nephew, Akar. And so each one of them bringing me a bag, a care pack, here go some shoes, warm up, blah, 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 this type shit. And we walked a little bit, and I remember, so it's a crowd of dudes, and I introduced myself to a few of those guys or whatever. But my mind, I'm still, I'm like, this can't be life. This can't be real, you know what I mean? But so me and Akar and Slim, we step off from the crowd. He said, come on, I'm gonna take you to the building. You stay in there with me. This was Slim tell me. I'm like, all right, cool. As we step off, Akar said, hey, I put your knife in this bag right here. Woo, woo, woo. I said, my knife. He was like, yeah, I put your knife in there. This motherfucker go down. Woo, woo, woo. Now keep in mind, Akar, when I left, he was just a younger, bad kid, you know what I mean? And my partner Stein used to want me to talk to him, kind of like mentoring, you feel me? Here he is now giving me my first knife. So I told him, I'm thinking maybe he think, because he younger. I'm like, nigga, maybe he think I can't squabble or something, maybe I'm a sucker or something, So I said, nah, I don't need that, man, I'm straight. Yeah. He said, nah, you gonna need that, trust me. I said, nah, take that back. I don't want that. So he take the knife back. Shit, 2 weeks later, I was like, nigga, bring the knife back. Let me get that.
Right. Well,
seriously.
What happened within the 2 weeks? What all did you see?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what was my red line. Yeah. Okay, now you see, because I've been in the state, niggas get it in all day. I'm talking about from the time they pull up. When I seen formidable, nice-sized dudes, instead of squabbing, they coming right out with the knife. I'm seeing niggas get pat downs and then still pulling out with. I'm like, oh hell no. But I told Akar, I said, go get me a knife, but I want that to be real big, right? That's called a bone crusher. I said, go get me a big motherfucker because I really don't want to kill nobody. I just want it so big that when I pull it out, I could hit a nigga with that. I ain't even talking about stabbing because I ain't trying to run my time up either. But I just want it to be so big and intimidating that, I don't even have to use it. That's what I'm hoping for. Which, that changed shortly too.